Welcome to the Port Charles Update with your hosts, Mish and Mel. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I am well, as is Lucky. Turns out his forearm's all right.
He got a paper cut. It was really bad, guys. And then he needed a friend to help. He had to phone a friend.
So I was just listening closely because I'm like, hey, what's the deal? But I feel like they did a decent job of the backstory they gave us for Lucky, right? Because last we left off, he was there for Luke's goodbye, and he was all
Mhm.
like, life is heavy and hard, and I live in Ireland. So we were like, okay, I can't be with my family. And you're like, uh-huh. And so now it's like he's basically this fixer, he's going into dangerous parts of the country, areas in conflict, and clearly doing these missions. So interesting. I was like, okay, that's an interesting backstory, very Spencer-ish.
I love it. And then the main guy who came to see him today, I'm doing a rewatch of Jane the Virgin, and I was like, I know this guy. He's Raphael's father in
The
Jane the
guy
Virgin. The guy, the old guy,
and
older
Raphael's
gentleman.
father was not a good guy.
He was not.
He was not a good guy.
No.
He was not a good guy. And
We have all determined that his character in the two shows I watched so far, he is not such a good dude.
okay, but now I'm getting sidetracked here. So so the main villain in Jane the Virgin,
Is
who is
Sinrostro, who is married to the father as a cover, so she made it seem like the father was the ultimate bad guy, but he was kind of just a jerk of a dad.
okay. I'm not gonna rewatch that because that was good times. Okay, so you recognize who the bad guy is. He's like Lucky is good, right? Like no matter what happens, he sticks with his story, and the guy is intrigued, even though he's going against his better judgment. He's like, it doesn't make
Yes.
sense. Like this can't be a coincidence. And then Lucky's like, whatever. He's like, okay, I'll play cards then. He's like, I can kill you anytime I want. I can kill you tomorrow because I'm having fun with you right now. Maybe we could be friends. Maybe we could be more than that. Maybe we could be partners.
Well, it was really cute because it felt like very Luke, right? Luke is his dad, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
just,
Oh
it was
no! You didn't just Mel started watching last week just so we could record.
it's
She hasn't
Friday,
watched in a
guys.
hospital before then.
I I am entertaining the children before school starts, so I am like melted version of myself.
My kids started school, so they are melted versions of themselves right now.
But yeah, it was just so cool to see that fieriness, right? Like we did hear about, Lulu and her fieriness this week, and just kind of like recapping certain characters and who they are
Yeah,
in time and
recapping
space.
recapping is an understatement. They dug up all these old storylines, like everything there was to know about Lulu. It's like I feel like I'm preparing for a pop quiz. Like,
Right?
remember when?
Totally.
Yeah, did you know that Tracy does care about Lulu? Here's why.
Oh, that
like,
just like it was
yeah.
so fun though. I do have a theory later on that I highlighted that we
Oh,
need to talk about.
oh, I almost, oh,
You
I,
probably already know. I feel like kind of
no,
stupid saying it
I
out
want to
loud,
start. I
but
want to
like,
start. I almost want to start by the rumor. I think by
okay,
the
okay,
thing. I think I have
okay,
answers. I
okay,
think I have answers.
okay.
Just do you have them? Do you have answers?
You stopped me and you said you want to go first. I'm being polite.
No, but I want to know if you have answers. I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to go first. I'm not going to jump the gun. I'm going
Okay,
to go
so
in order.
I
Do you
every
have
okay.
answers? Yes or no? Do you answer the question?
I don't even know what the question. Okay, so they were like heavy on details this week, and we're
Yes.
talking about Lucky, we're talking about Lulu, we're talking about history being dredged up
Yes.
between their relationship and Brooklyn and Dante.
Yes.
Okay, do you know where I'm? Okay, I'm gonna keep talking.
Okay. Okay.
And then there was this weird moment in the
Well, the
kitchen.
first stop, stop,
Yes,
stop.
yes,
You
stop
have to
me.
have all the pieces, okay?
Okay, okay, let's have all the
So
pieces.
the
Oh.
first weird piece happens
Yeah.
when Brooklyn and Chase are talking,
Yes,
and
yes. So you
she
know,
teaches
everybody knows.
him she teaches him about Lulu, and I was like, damn, she brought up
Yeah.
Lulu and Dylan. Oh, but she did she bring up Scott's son? Because she
That
killed
would
him.
be.
Anyways,
Oh.
so, um, yeah, he was obsessed with her. Okay, so the
Yes,
weirdness
child.
starts there. Okay, so and then there's
Yes.
another moment that happens before your awkward kitchen moment.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
so first awkward moment is when she tells all the details of Lulu, all the main points that Chase needs to know, including the like Carly hiring her to seduce Dante. And he's like, well, that's no big deal, right? Because I've been here for like a bajillion years. And he knew Lulu too, like when when Chase started, because when Chase came in, he was replacing Nathan as
Yes.
a cop.
Yes.
Um, so she's like, yeah, like ancient history. And then she implies that there's something relating to her teen years that's going unsaid. Okay.
Hmm.
Then later this week, there's a scene with her, Chase, and now Violet. Violet
Hmm.
asked a very interesting question.
She did.
Okay. Now it's Friday.
Now it's Friday.
Now Brooklyn is talking to Dante. And
Yes.
now they're alluding to something that's never been alluded to. No alluding. Never alluded.
Okay, so what do you think they are alluding to?
What do you mean? What do I think they're alluding to? I'm trying to help
Say it
connect
out
the dots
loud.
here. I think that Gio is their kid.
Okay, me too. So it's like it was very obvious nuggets to everybody. That's why I didn't want to say it out loud.
But why? We all need to say it out loud, and it makes sense. It makes a bit of sense, right?
But they do
Makes
they
sense.
know or do they not know? Like this is the whole thing. Like
Not know. Does Brooklyn not know
okay, so
she had?
here's the thing. No,
Okay.
here's what I think in terms of like, okay, these are the clues that they're giving us to come to this conclusion. So there's a thing that should not be spoken of that they had a child and they gave this child for adoption, whereas Lois took this child, said, yeah, I got the kid adopted,
The match.
kept it locally,
The
and
match.
then you know what I mean?
Oh no, that doesn't make any sense. The match.
No, the match won't work,
Because he's not
but
related to Lulu. He's related to Lulu's ex-husband. So that doesn't work, right?
no, you don't trade DNA through marriage. Like
DNA.
that
Okay.
would be interesting.
All right. Okay.
But I do think that they're speaking of a child, but they don't know that it's Geo.
So you don't think they know? They know. They know.
No, because I think they gave the kid up for adoption, and then Lois kind of swooped in, and that's why she acts the way she does.
Yeah, because that makes more sense because Brooklyn is sweet with Geo, but not weird. But Lois is weird,
Yes,
and Sunny
yes,
helped, right? And we figured Sunny
yes,
was helping and doing a favor to someone.
yes.
That is insane. That is insane that
Right?
they were like, that the idea was that these kids put the kid up for adoption, and the parents are like, yes, this is great. So now I want to introduce you to this new baby to the neighborhood with no parents. It's just a coincidence. I don't know. It just
And then
happened.
her mom, yeah, everybody died, and here he
Yes.
is.
Yeah, but this
Mhm.
is this is weird because we just gave up a baby 2 seconds ago, and then from the back door, and then you just walked into the front. Yes, I understand the timing might seem weird,
Weird, but we
but I
live
assure
close to
you,
Port Charles.
this
This
is a
is
different
normal.
baby. This is a different baby, 100%. Okay? We changed the hat. Like,
We
so
put
I think
glasses on it.
so I think you're right that they don't know, and it's clear that Lois knows, and she's still on the damn accent thing. But now the
I can't
Sunny,
believe it.
Lois, all of it makes sense. Click, 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 click. You know, like snapping and like
Are
clicking
you
into place.
taking pictures with like an old camera?
No, it's just like it's like. Well, I mean, it clicks into place. Don't you hear like click? You know. Oh, okay,
You know
okay,
what? When
yeah.
things click into place in my mind, when I'm like reading and stuff, it does make that sound. I was wondering what was going on in the background, but now I know.
It's like I don't know. It's
I
click.
love
We
it.
say click. Yeah. So that's it. So I hope you liked it. I hope you enjoyed I hope you enjoyed
This
that
week's
revelation.
episode.
Yeah, I think we pretty much captured it all.
That's a
Um,
wrap, guys.
but Brooklyn does say something that kind of captures everything that happened today. She says, like, because remember, like the awkwardness happens after the whole like dumping on Carly. Clearly, Dante's having a rough time
Yes.
with the
Oh
whole Lulu
yeah.
thing, and it was
He's
like
sunning it up hard.
Yeah, he's like, "Aren't you like a punching bag most people use when they're upset?
Hmm.
You've done a bad thing, many bad things, so I could just poke at any one of those." And I'm like, "He's so lucky she didn't turn around and poke at
Hmm.
his, but she's evolved Carly. She's
Oh
Carly
yeah.
trying to be a little bit of Bobby, right? Giving space to
Yes.
people." So, I mean, plus Dante's beating himself up enough as it is.
Yeah.
And so when Brooklyn kind of comes in, everything kind of like dies down. She confronts him and says, "This,
Hmm.
is it just me or did that come out of left field?" And that's pretty much how I feel about today's episode as a whole.
Right? I like honestly, what I wrote for like my first note was, what is happening? Exactly like that.
That's good. That's good because I feel like that's one of those things that could slip your mind easily.
I had to
Easily.
scroll down in my notes and I just, had to make sure that I said it exactly how I wrote it.
Okay.
Welcome to Friday's episode that you'll hear on Saturday.
So we're gonna try again to kind of just touch on this Lulu storyline before things get go off the wall again. Before we skip the whole week and literally just talk about Friday.
Yeah.
Okay, so Lulu's in a coma. We've seen chin, we've seen face from a downward angle, we've seen a bit
Yes.
of hair. You know what? My memory is so weird because I could have sworn when I watched the episode where we got a bit of like her hair when like Maxie
Hmm.
was doing her nails. I remember when I watched it that I was thinking, oh, the blonde is like a little orangey. But then when I rewatched it, it's not really orangey. Sorry. This, this helps nothing. Okay. Just letting everyone think. No, that's what I thought it was orangey.
You have a lot of attention to detail, and we'll just pack it in our
I
bag of
wasn't
clues for
attention
next week.
to detail. I made up a detail and it was wrong. Because like
Yes.
we know that the most recent Lulu is not
Yes.
the one coming back, and so I just assumed it would be a rando. And this is not a clue, but just remember how last time we were like, I wish secrets could be kept better. Like the internet sucks for that. That like we knew that Lucky was
Yes.
coming and we weren't surprised and we want to be surprised. But what if we are surprised? Like, what if we're gonna be? Like, what if the Lulu they're bringing back? Because somebody was pointing out some similarities with I think her name is Julie Berman, the actress who played Lulu before this Lulu.
She was also in Jane the Virgin in an
She was?
episode, so it would be so fun. Yeah, she was.
Oh
She was
wow.
in one
Okay, so
episode.
have you recently rewatched this or
Oh
like
yeah, I'm
how is
rewatching it right now.
okay, okay. I'm like, because your memory of this is really sharp. Oh,
You're
okay.
like, hey, you need to brush up on your GH skills because for some reason you remember everything on Jane the Virgin.
Okay, so like, what if it's her?
That's what I was thinking. That'd be cool, especially the fact that they're bringing up stories from a time when she was there.
From a teen. It's
Mm,
all
mm.
making sense. And I kept staring at her when they were showing her through Tracy's visit angles. I was like,
Hmm.
is it? I don't know. And could they just be using someone else until they have her?
That too.
Right? So it's hard to know what's going on. But that would be pretty epic to have
I think
brought
so
her back
too.
and make
Yeah.
everyone forget about how insane things have been in terms of, you know, comings and goings.
We're gonna
I
talk
would
about it, I guess.
so I'm just gonna say this. How many times has Lulu told no, not Lulu, Elizabeth told us that coma patients can hear things? Okay. And so you got Maxie, being honest with her and saying, "Hey, I never told Dante that you loved him. I figured you'd want him to move on." And I was like, Maxie, you obviously don't know Lulu. And then and then Dante was there talking to her. And I'm like, if Lulu could hear everything, do you think she wants to hear you and Sam? And do you
Right?
think she wants to hear Sam? And should Sam be in there talking to you? I'm just saying. Okay, I'm being trying, And so speaking of Sam, I love
Yes.
Sam and Dante together. I really
Oh,
do.
so much.
They bring like a normie vibe that like Maxie does,
Yes.
with their relationship and how they manage to kind of like merge their families. So a few things here. The news was shocking
Yes, it
that she's
was.
going to be filming her last scenes in the fall. And when we were texting, you said, I hope she doesn't die, like get killed off. and then I sent you an article that
I was like, gosh darn it.
and then when I was reading up on it, because someone commented that on one of our posts, saying that they were so
Hmm.
upset about Sam, and I'm like, what? So I Google it because we don't do that,
Yeah.
and then Johnny's like, well, why don't they just recast her with like Lindsay Hartley? And I'm like, the article literally says will not be recasted with Lindsay. And in the
Aw.
original articles, it wasn't saying explicitly that they were going to kill the Sam character. They were saying she's leaving,
Yes.
and then it says it's mirroring another story on another soap. So then it
Oh,
goes, it's echoing something from another soap opera where a longtime actress was killed off. And I'm like, what are you saying? Because they
what?
weren't being explicit by saying Sam is going to get killed off. They just said that, Kelly Monaco was leaving. And then they refer to this other storyline. And then it was later that I found the other article that claimed that she was going to be killed off, which would be kind of insane. Um,
Yes.
but recently it just feels like things are just moving quickly,
Yes.
and something that feels different now that this sort of rumor or reality, who knows just yet, until we see the last episode that she's in airs, um that if that's true, they had the scenes this week where Jason follows Carly when she goes to see Brennan, when she's like summoned by him.
Yes.
And in my head, I'm just thinking, what would be the point of this, right? Like, what would be the point of showing us that Brennan wants Jason? He's not being aggressive. He's not trying to manipulate him. He's just trying to figure out what he wants because that's the kind of negotiator he is.
Hmm.
And he wants to be equal partners. Um, it's an equally dangerous life, but it's just
Yes.
supposedly on the right side, air quotes, like all
Yes.
WSB agents.
Hmm.
And in my head, I'm thinking, why would you even bother showing this scene if it wasn't a potential avenue for the character? Like, what's the point of just
Yes.
showing him saying no? And like, I don't know, like, would Jason find this line of work acceptable if something were to happen and I don't know, he had Danny full time? And then I think about the argument him and Anna had, where Anna painted a picture of a life Jason could have.
Yes.
And what if he has to have it? Like when that rumor hit and I think about all these scenes, I'm wondering, oh, okay, like are you actually setting up this avenue? Like the picture Anna painted, the offer made by Jack.
Well, remember we talked a long time ago about seeing when Jason had a lot of scenes with Jordan back in the day. We talked about
Yeah.
their chemistry and him on the side of the law.
Yeah.
And that scene with Brennan, I think it's a starting point, but I truly don't think that Jason wants to be an enforcer anymore. If anything, if he has to go on missions here and there, but he's going to want a job that keeps him close to home, close to his kids, a respectable job that pays well. And that's not the job that Brennan offered, but it's a starting point.
Okay, so you think this could be like an actual avenue for
I
Jason?
think so too. Like, hey, Jason, we want you to be the team lead for the enforcers. Train them. You don't have to do anything, but you have to manage them. It's like corporate life.
Oh my gosh, could you imagine that at some point Jason does take on a role, like as in running the WSB?
Like, I think that's the only avenue legally that he could take because I can't see him like in the PCP. I can't see him being a
No.
detective, but the WSB, I could see it.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm really, really shocked and sad. Like I don't really know the details of like Kelly Monaco's departure,
Yeah.
like in terms of like how that even came to be. But if the rumors are true and the way she's leaving is permanently,
Ugh.
not that anything is ever really permanent in soaps, I'm just sort of thinking like, okay, I guess it kind of makes sense. Like the weird focus that's been taken. Like I love the fact that they're shedding light on two long-standing characters in terms of like delving further into Molly and Christina.
Hmm.
But they've been doing it without Sam.
They have been. She's been really kind of out of the picture. But what does it
Mhm.
look like for them to lose a sister
Well,
after all of this?
well, I don't know. It's all Alexis had been talking about. My sister died, and I didn't like it.
Oh.
I wish my sister wasn't dead.
Oh
She's
boy.
been
So
saying
is
it.
Sam's death supposed to bring Molly and Christina together? Like, ew.
Um, it would feel too soon. Like it would definitely feel too soon. Like I don't like I really like that they're giving this light and this story to Christina and Molly. Like I think they used a baby, like they used a baby in a surrogacy
Hmm.
storyline, but like we talked about last week, you know, their dynamic, their anger, the way that they feel toward each other, like that exists with or without the baby. This concept of you taking advantage of you taking something that doesn't belong to you, you making this about you, all that stuff exists between them. So I did think it was a smart move and I thought that was great, to kind of explore that. And I kind of loved watching Molly this week. One, I was surprised she went to see her mom this early. Frankly, after everything Molly's been through, I'm surprised she didn't
Hmm.
want to take more time.
I agree, but I guess as she's letting herself feel things, she has to kind of roll with it. If not, she's just staying stagnant, right?
Well, I think she needs her mom, right? As much as
Yeah.
like phone a dad. That's like like to call Rick. um is there for this part of it, and like he said, he showed up to Alexis's, which again, she had some of my favorite lines. She's like, I need your advice like I need an acid bath. And so even though he held Molly crying all night, that was the whole point. Like at least he was telling her, your mom loves you. And it makes sense that Molly would want Alexis to reach out. And frankly, I'm like, Alexis, why didn't you reach out? like
Honestly, though, what would
like
a
a
text message or a
text?
call have done? Honestly.
Like, it was you, Sam, and Christina. Like, I'm just saying, I think that Alexis is in a horrible situation. I think that it's a no-win situation. I think she loves both of her daughters. Well, although Alexis kind of said it, right? Like, she wants, like, like Portia insinuated that like Alexis chose, and I was thinking in my
Hmm.
head was Alexis is not choosing. She's doing the best she can and it sucks. But then I
Yes.
saw her this week and
I
I'm
know.
like, oh, she did choose. And she's pretty adamant that she does not need to take care of Molly. And I was just so taken aback how often she was like, no, she just can survive without me. And I'm like, okay, fair, right? Because, she's an adult daughter. So you're right, Alexis. You're not going to like hold her 24/7. But I think it's
Yes.
kind of drastic to like not text her like at all. Like no contact. She's strong, sure. But this is extreme. Like, what do you mean? You're just gonna leave her? Like, you're never gonna go see her? You're never gonna call her? Sam can't stay with her? I mean, Rick was ridiculous, be like, hire a nurse. And I'm like, but I'm sorry, guys. The invisible sister here, Sam, could totally
Right?
stay with Christina, and her dad, like her dad can stay with Christina. There are actual, Jocelyn would be more than
Right?
willing to
Thank
stay with
you.
Christina. There are people. There are peoples. There's Michael. There's Dante. There are humans that are trustworthy and that Christina would accept with her for 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 Alexis to make that time.
Well, that's the thing. How Molly is seeing her mom, it really highlighted how Alexis is also stuck because at the end of the week, you see Christina take a turn that she is capable. She just wants people around her, which is so valid for Molly as well. She's strong and capable, but she wants her mom around her. That's not to say, like you said, that there isn't other people around, but Alexis, it puts them in two very hard categories. There is no
Yes.
shifting from them. So, like you said, yeah, very easily Alexis could have called somebody else. Christina would have not been insulted. She would have been okay with it or said, no, I'm fine to be home alone. Thank you very much. Bye.
Yeah, like I look, the reality is both Christina and Molly are living I want my mommy moments. Of course,
Yeah.
being with Alexis is going to make them feel grounded and safe. And I think it's fair that they would want that. Like, how could you not? And
Yes.
even worse for Molly is that she's watching TJ's family surround him constantly. And that has got to be
Yes.
tough because put Alexis to the side, like, look at all the siblings that. Christina has, and they're all supposed to be Molly's cousin, and not many people are kind of bending over backwards to support Molly.
Or asking how
So
she's feeling or
yeah,
wondering what she may be going through.
Yeah, like not even. And so we hear a little bit about what she went through. Rick goes there to have that talk with them. But yeah, talk about black and white, I was just so taken aback to hear
Yes.
how explicit Alexis was. This kind of felt really weird to me though. Like I understand that people feel like Christina's a train wreck, right? Or very
Hmm.
emotional. It's kind of like a similar way I feel that like Morgan was seen. And Morgan
Okay.
and Christina bonded, right? A lot in terms of feeling like a train wreck or being seen as a screw up or not being trusted. Like
Hmm.
that is a little bit of both of their characteristics. But then to hear Alexis say she's weak,
I
she
know.
has no tools. And I'm like, no tools?
Yes.
How does someone rebuild their life after a cult with no tools?
Thank you very
I
much.
was like, what are you talking about? Like how does someone, you know, like start their organization, like the center that she opened? Like, yes, she asked for help. Yes, it was chaotic at first. Yes, she might have had unrealistic expectations because she never opened an organization before. And there was always Sam there to remind her, like, you don't know what you're doing. Like, there was never any like support, or if you want, I could sit with you and we could like brainstorm stuff. No one really ever treats her
Yes.
like an equal. They just love going with the label of screw up, even though she's aiming high and doing this
Yes.
incredible thing. Nobody recognizes the fact that like she sort of lives on her own, like as an adult. She bought her own.
Yes, has a
Like,
beautiful
you know what I mean?
place.
Like, let's just remember, like, she
Hmm.
lives on her own. Like, nobody's running around needing to hand her money or the idea that she can't keep a job. She's actually the only one of them that's like worked consistently since she's been young.
Yes. Yep.
So I again the filters, and that's the whole point, right? The whole idea of the Davis women is examining all of their dynamics and the lens through which they see each other. And so it was just really disappointing to hear that's how she sees Christina. Like I thought this story would allow her to see, I don't know, different sides of her. And I just thought it was so odd because we have like the Maxie character, we have like the Lulu
Hmm.
character, we have like the Brooklyn character, and we've had like the Maxie and the Lulus being like reckless and making all kinds of decisions. And I just think it's, but like no one's ever called them weak. And I was just
Right?
confused about, in terms of like that kind of recklessness, messy kind of character. Like Christina's not really like unique with having those traits in terms of historically on the show. And even if you like mirror and parallel her with, let's say, her dad, we
Yes.
know he has bipolar, we know he has a diagnosis. She doesn't have a diagnosis and she probably doesn't have one, right? But I'm
Yes.
just trying to understand why, like, I understand she's screwed up and made mistakes, but I also see somebody that, is a different version from themselves each time, that she does grow and she does mature. Like, I
Yes.
do see that, but I couldn't wrap my head around all of her experiences. And yes, she could be really emotional. She feels things intensely,
Hmm.
joy, pain, all of it. I couldn't understand why that equated to weak, like why that label was placed on her and not placed on other characters like a Morgan or a Sunny or a Maxie or a Lulu, like all those other characters. I just couldn't fully understand that.
Well, that's why it's so frustrating. It's like you would think Alexis lived a straight and narrow life where she made zero mistakes, and you look at how
Like,
she
she's
judges her, and
messy.
it's she is so
She's
messy.
messy.
So it's so harsh when she takes that look at Christina and describes her in such a way that it's just like your jaw drops. You're like, have you taken a look at your life? Like, really though?
Do you know what there is like something that they have in common, these other messy characters that might have been, let's say, reckless in their youth, but also kind of reckless after the fact, like when we're
Hmm.
referencing Alexis or like Lulu and Maxie, right? Those,
Yes.
especially them being like the younger generation of characters at a point, is like they eventually settled down and had kids. And I'm like, is that the
Oh
determiner? Because
dear. Oh
like
goodness.
is that really the thing that like that
Makes you grow up.
yeah, you attain stability.
Baloney. Mm.
Like, you know what I mean? Like it's funny hearing Molly this week say, "I had a stable home." I was like, "Did you though?"
Did you?
Like, I don't know. I don't know if that's what I would call that at all.
Right? You had a home.
yeah, like, that's a bit delusional. Like, I
It
think
was
you were very
physically
loved.
stable. There was
Yeah,
no
like
earthquakes.
yeah, like, I think well, yeah, and I'm like, I think you were very much loved for sure, and definitely had
Yes.
people that were there for you, but stable? So it's really crazy when you compare, like, Christina and literally, like, Alexis is not Christina, right? In the sense that she's older and Alexis is still very much learning lessons. Like she recently got her license back due to like messing up her entire life. But nobody calls Alexis messy,
Yes.
you know? Like she
I don't
stabbed
like it.
Franco. She stabbed Franco. She ran over Julian with her car. She ran over Kiefer with her car.
I was gonna say she likes running people over with a car though.
She killed Alcazar. She posed as like something else with a disguise to try to sneak in to visit Christina when the Quartermains had her. You know, she
Okay,
slept with her
so
Sonny.
you're talking about all of this, and all I'm picturing is like the end of the week when she slowly puts the clues together and that Christina has her car. And then she goes out the window and yells. Like, one, think about how long you've been on the phone. If she got in the car, why would she still be sitting in your driveway? And would she hear you if you're yelling at your door?
Also, the car's not in the driveway, one. So, like, that's what you
It kills me, like,
that's
just
what
the
you went to check?
rationale.
But what killed me was how she threw herself onto the door frame.
Yes, yes. And both hands on the forehead
Ugh, like,
to cover
that
the
was
rain.
yeah, that was hilarious. But going back to Molly, like, she saw it, she bumped into Dex.
I love that he put on a shirt because he's like, you know what? People, when they look at me and see me like this, they can't concentrate. So I'm just gonna like put my shirt on and have a conversation.
But they talked. What do you think about the fact that it was Dex she bumped into? And then at the end of the week, we see Dex with the other sister.
Well, that's what I find interesting because Joss has found this like space for Christina and
Mhm.
helped her when everything went wrong. And now you have Dex kind of in the middle of everything. I mean, at some point, remember, we felt like Dex and Christina would be a good match, but I
Yeah.
don't think that's where this is going. I
No, no,
really
no.
don't know.
Not right now, like the whole like Christina and Dex, but I was thinking maybe more the divisive thing, right? Because this whole
Yeah.
storyline has caused, family members to take sides and all this. So it would make sense, right? Joss and Trina, they're kind of on the different sides of this in a way, the
Hmm.
situation. And then with Dex, so like I'm not quite sure, but either way, the conversation Molly had was interesting with Dex. First of all, they touched on something we keep talking about. Like a lot about Molly's life and upbringing was unfair. It's not like she created the
Yes.
dynamic. She was born into it, navigated it, and as she shared with Dex, found a way to cope with the chaos and the lack of needs. And her solution was have no needs, be hyper dependent. Like
Yes.
that was her solution. Be perfect, be excellent. This is how I'm going to compensate for all the things that I'm not getting. And so, we talked last time, in the beginning, there's an origin story. There's a how you became this way. But then as you get older, it's like, well, how do I become what's healthy? You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
how do I be the person to love and take care of myself? And then he said something to her, like she just assumed and felt a lot of guilt, about
Hmm.
her mom, that her mom didn't have enough space. She understood consequences. She was thinking a lot about her mom, like not just Christina here. I just want to point out she wasn't just thinking about, because she says it's always about Christina, but when she spoke to Dex, a lot of this was about never wanting to overburden her mom.
Yes.
So, like, that's the thing. Like, we talked before about the Davis women and the fact that like Molly deserves to take that space and she may need to step away from like all of them. And even though she had this like moment with Alexis, I think
Hmm.
Molly still has a long way to go and that was a fragile moment
Yes.
because it was Molly who had to come to Alexis and not Alexis doing it the other way.
Yes.
And I think it was a nice Band-Aid, but I don't think Molly got what she needed. I think she went there to try to make herself feel better, but also to make sure I don't know, that Alexis was okay with her?
I think she was dipping her toe in, like
Yeah,
saying the things she need to say, see how that feels, and how her mom would react if she would actually be heard. So this is like it or not, kind of a little bit of a test, right? Like, I need you.
Yes.
I'm telling you that I need you. I'm being
Yes.
vocal about my needs, even though I'm strong. Now the ball's in your court.
Yeah, and it sucks because Molly has like I'm glad she took that advice because the fact
Yeah.
that Dex called her out on that, you don't think that your mom had more to give, but did you ever ask?
Yeah.
You know? And so I like that. So we talked about that, like taking responsibility for her care. Again, not blaming Molly for Alexis not meeting her needs, but it's
Yes.
a pattern that seems to be hurting her in her adult life. Like we're seeing it,
Exactly.
right? We're seeing how much it hurts her. So yeah, I think what you're saying makes a lot of sense because I felt for Molly. I felt like this girl had to dig in that conversation. I feel she led the conversation. I did not
Yes.
feel that Alexis swooped in and mothered her in the way that she did Christina.
Yes,
And I just
absolutely.
feel like there's mixed messaging in like the whole Alexis Christina relationship. She's doting over her a lot because of the physical part,
Yes.
unfortunately. You know what I
No,
mean?
but
Like
truly.
because most of the time, like if like Christina's going through a hard time or maybe just struggling on a lesser scale, that's where Alexis is full blown judgmental. Like they don't get along, like they don't see eye to eye. And it was really funny how they highlighted that because when Sunny was there and Christina started talking about her child and calling her Adela, you have Alexis's eyes bugging out, being like, are you seeing this? Like, do you not see or hear this and understand what this means for me and my family and this whole issue with the baby? And like you can see that. And what I thought was so interesting, I don't know if you noticed this, the
Mhm.
wardrobe. So in those scenes when Christina is
Uh-huh.
surrounded,
Yes.
that's actually funny though, because Molly shows up, Rick leaves, Molly's there with Alexis, but has nobody kind of remaining around her. But then Christina has both parents there. And that's also a reality. Christina also always had her dad too.
That's true.
So that's even worse. Think of it from Molly's perspective. So Christina's getting a lot of the attention, but she also has her dad when things don't work out with mom. I just have like barely half of my mom and nothing
Yeah.
else.
Oh, it makes my heart break more.
So even though like Rick hasn't really been around and he's like he's basically to blame, but it's like an invisible thing, right? Like I
Yes.
feel like his absence also has contributed to Molly, but it's not really on the surface just yet. And I think Molly is just beginning to scratch the surface of herself, of her needs, and kind of fighting her way through understanding how to give herself what she needs.
Yes, I agree.
So I do look forward to kind of like her journey as she figures things out. Who's to know if Dex is going to continue to be a part of this? But their conversation prompted Dex to consider to call his mom, who I originally thought could also be Gio's mom, but I don't think so anymore.
Yes, exactly.
Because it was strange how they got along so well. And I didn't get that.
Well, I also think it was because of the fact of like if there were going to be this foursome with Trina potentially dating Gio and how well they would all get along and be this like new little couple unit type thing.
Not that it had to be a copy paste, but it was just because like Spencer and Dex didn't, so it just felt weird that the
Gotcha.
that the new fourth was getting along so well with Dex. So I
Yes.
had mentioned Christina's wardrobe. So what I was trying to say before was that when Christina was with her dad and mom,
Hmm.
and I guess she was like worried about Kate's and Sunny.
Yes.
Um when Sunny goes to put his arm around her, notice that her top matches her dad and like the jeans matched Alexis.
Yes.
So I thought that was so interesting that she's very much both of them. And we've seen scenes where like Alexis is fierce. We've seen the fact that like Sunny is regaining himself and feeling more balanced and feeling like in his power and able to like have control. But like Kate's is just
Okay,
showing
he's
up? Like, I'm sorry, Alexis, could you stop threatening to call the judge and actually call the judge? You keep you're citing the law that he's supposed to make an appointment and he doesn't, and he won't stop showing up to your house.
all I kept thinking, and I'm sure so many people were screaming the same thing at their TV. Where is Diane? Where is she? Please,
Oh,
somebody find her.
and Sunny was like calling Diane today, and I'm like, okay, are you calling her? Because like, are you thinking what I'm thinking, Sunny? Like, are you seeing how this is going down? Like, somebody needs
Mm,
to rein Kate's in, and who
yes.
would have thought that Christina somewhat would have been able to achieve that. So again, of course, it was jarring hearing Alexis go on and on about Christina being weak, but then it was weird because it was being hammered to a
Yes.
point where like Sunny was like, okay, like she'll be fine. like,
I loved it.
like it's all right here. Like, let's chill. And then even like the fact that this week Christina called Jason, which I thought was odd. So again,
Yes.
talk about coming out of left field.
Well, she also was wearing, the dark top, the jeans. It's very much Jason's uniform. I think though it
Mhm.
looked like she was wearing more of a navy blue. He was wearing a black, but still, like it's the shades of the same.
Did you notice that he was wearing navy blue with Brennan? By the way, I loved how they coordinated the colors of his office and everything. But like, I like the metal chair. I love his WSB office. Like, it's amazing. But yeah, Jason was wearing blue when he was in his office. I'm like,
We
what is
forgot
the
to say
need?
new set alert, new set
New set
alert.
alert. New set alert. Yeah,
Did I notice he was wearing blue? No, but is that a sign that he will be joining them? I think so.
that's what I thought it was.
Yeah.
So yeah, so basically, um, Christina's still wearing the same clothes. So
Yes.
so she gets left alone, I think, for a little bit. So Kate tries again with Sunny present. And even
Yeah.
though Sunny was like, look, I'll meet you in my office, Kate insisted on having a date.
That's
He was
what
like,
I
I
read.
need
I
you
said
to
he
take
really
me
wants a
out,
date at the
take me to a
grill, not
restaurant.
at
Yeah.
a steakhouse. So like he wanted like top notch date.
He's so sad. He's such
He's
a
so sad.
sad man. And so again, okay, so that's happening. Christina's freaking out. So she calls Jason, and then Jason just says, he's obsessed. It's crazy. He's obsessed. And I was like, this is the best. Like this is what Jason has to say about this. This is freaking awesome. And so that to me was a bit odd. He's just telling her, like, don't worry, stay calm. And I just kept thinking,
Yeah.
this is considering where Sam was, sorry, not Sam, but where Christina was at regarding Jason not that long ago.
Yes.
She was all like, Jason is amazing. Then she's like, I think Jason is full blown guilty. And now she's like, Jason, help.
Help.
Oh man. And so then this girl still in the same outfit, Kate's obviously goes back when Alexis is not around.
Yeah, just stalking the house at this point.
Oh my gosh. It's like he goes to Sunny and then Sunny's like, yeah, I'll turn myself in. And I'm like, and he's like, but let her go first. I'm like, is this gonna go how I think it's gonna go? You're gonna like let her go, let her go. He's like, okay, she's free. And he's like, okay, thank you. And walk away. I'm like, that
Thank
must be the extent of his
you.
plan. And also out of left field was when Sunny showed up to Ava and said, pretty sure Kate's is going to try to kill you. So what on
Yes.
earth do you think is happening? So Kate's did that. So Kate's arranged that.
That is so messed up. One, oh my God, how cute is Ava in jeans? Ava
That's what
character
I
is
was
always in
thinking.
like, she's always in like her corporate clothes, her like gorgeous rich lady clothes. And I was like, girl, you look cute in those silver pumps and pink Barbie top
I
and
couldn't, yeah,
jeans.
yeah, I was like, jeans. I'm like, we rarely see this. And then she starts sizing up the
Cartulo
agent.
shoes, yes.
I I love that. I love that they have like a signature high-end shoe brand on the show.
Yes.
And then just starts realizing like this is not an FBI agent and Sunny was right. And so
Yes,
that's the
hot
part I want
damn.
to understand.
Hmm.
How did he know this?
How did Sunny know this?
Yeah, why does he know this? Like this was so
I think it's because what they're trying to do or allow us to see is that Sonny's balanced again. Sonny has good gut instincts. He knows the people around him. Like he's back to who he was kind of the point of that scene for me, is what I took out of it.
okay. And so going back to Christina, lastly you have Alexis being like zero faith in Christina. And then while that's happening, we see Christina feeling crushed by Kate's. He's
Yes.
trying, and I was just like, this person is like, he's just awful. And then, she has her head down, she's crying, and we don't know how she's gonna fare alone. And I don't know why Alexis, like when she left, I thought it was like to talk to the judge finally, but she actually
Yes.
left the police station to have like a heart to heart with Sunny. She's like,
I could not.
oh, that was pretty tough in there. Like she's like, Christina's so weak, but actually it was pretty hard watching her being in there. Kate is awful. So I just want to talk to you about it. And then she's like, just turn yourself
Ugh.
in. And I'm like, really? For
I
what?
honestly, I could not believe she was asking this of him and acting the way she was acting.
Yeah, I was like, okay, so he's gonna turn himself in, and then when he called Kate, he's like, I'm gonna turn myself in. I'm like, for what? And then and then
Right?
and then he even tells Kate, it's like, for all of it, for all the crimes, whatever,
For
take your
all of
pick.
the things.
I won't admit to anything specifically, but I'll be happy to confess to some crimes. So I'm like,
I opened some mail, my neighbor's mail.
it's like, because I'm like, is that the loophole? I'll confess to a crime. I just won't tell you which one. It's like about of all the jaywalking. I have a jaywalking ring
Right.
going. Like I don't know what that is. So then Christina, she's all like, "Oh, I'm so hurting," and then her head rises, and she
Loved
becomes
it.
Christina, and it was just interesting,
Yes,
right?
reborn, man.
Right? It was just interesting, like the wardrobe, the Alexis, Sunny, Alexis, like she's so weak, she's practically on the floor. I can't see her, like she's nothing. I have no faith in her. And then she kind of gets into control. And I was just queen pin on the rise. We've talked about this.
Honestly,
We have talked
honestly.
about this years ago that it could be Christina, but then as the show kept progressing, you're just like, but who? Like we know somebody will have to take over.
Yes.
And I just kept thinking this the more like I was watching is, especially now that factoring in what you said about Jason, the possibility that he might land somewhere higher up, where he's not really constantly in full danger, especially if something happens to Sam. And then Dex left Sunny for a reason. He was very loyal to Sunny. He had
Hmm.
zero problem killing people.
Yes.
And I think he would have stayed working for Sunny if he felt Sunny was, noble. Like if he saw him in that way,
Hmm.
right? And he didn't agree. He didn't think that Sunny was making good business decisions also.
Pretty much, yeah.
I mean, yeah, it was like, Josh tried to make him feel guilty about trying to kill a helpless, air quotes, old man in Cyrus. But I just think
Mhm.
he just couldn't align with the organization Sonny was running. And look how he was with Christina. Like, I could see Dex being her right hand man. I could see how he may not want to work for Sonny, but I
Oof.
could see how working for Christina could maybe be doable, especially if, he feels that they're on the right side of things. And especially after he's maybe a caught for a little while and a little disillusioned and that they can't solve anything.
Hmm.
They even had to move in the WSB to get things done. Like you saw what happened this week with Laura going to him. Like anytime somebody needed something, it's like, let's just go to Jack.
Once we get to Anna Banana, I've got some things to say.
Let's just get there. Laura has pleas, right? She
Yes.
really deliver for Lulu. I like the added detail that they gave us today. So we know it really does have to be a match. We're assuming at this point it's Lucky because they're looking for him.
Exactly.
They made it clear that in terms of being on a donor list, she can't be given that she's in a coma, which makes sense when Felicia was like explaining all of that.
Yeah.
Family is coming, they're trying to get tested. Uh so Laura wants the whereabouts and she's firm. She says the WSB owes me and my family. And I'm like, interesting. Like, I'm not quite sure w- what specifically is being referred to. I know it's very much true. They did a lot of stuffs. Even Lucky
Yes.
makes that same reference.
Hmm.
And, Jack does what he does. And I feel that that gesture piggybacks on what he told Jason. Like, if I can help, I will.
Yes,
He's like a
exactly.
good bad guy,
He
the way he
really
was
is.
with Carly. And so he's already agreed to help Lulu. And earlier you see Anna just like, oh my God, Tracy, what's wrong? Tell me, Lulu. Ooh, Lulu's connected to Charlotte. Tell me more. How could I use this to find Valentine to protect him from Sunny? As if Valentine needs her protecting, as if Valentine doesn't know what's going on and that he was at risk of being discovered. Like as if she could find Valentine and tell him anything this man doesn't already know. And I think it's sad that she's not even looking to help Lulu, that it's really just about Valentine. And it made sense finally why she was so interested and talking to Tracy the way she was and going to talk to Portia about Lulu.
I could not. When she was talking to Portia, I was like, she's bananing all over the place. And then when she went to go see Brennan, this is what I heard. So I'm looking for Valentine because I love him and I want to spend another night with him. Oh yeah, and I want to know about Sunny. Actually, no, 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 wait, wait. Oh yeah, Charlotte, Charlotte, Charlotte. About Lulu, those are the actual things I'm supposed to say out loud, not the other things that I'm thinking in my head. It's like you don't give a darn. You just want Valentine for yourself. You don't care about the outcome of anything else.
It's so gross,
It
and
is.
Portia is telling her, because she's like, "What about a minor? I can get you a minor.
I
I would
it was
love to
gross. It
get
was
you a
so gross.
minor." And then
Right?
she's like, "Well, we would prefer not to use a minor for
She's like,
obvious
all she heard was yes,
reasons."
bring me the minor.
Yeah, specifically ones we've previously shot. We try not to bring those ones in for further surgeries.
Yes.
And then she's acting like that's the better avenue when clearly it's not. Like Laura's not even saying, she never even asked to find Charlotte for the surgery to be a donor. She wanted Charlotte simply to be with her mother. Laura didn't even go there.
Yes.
That is, and like Laura is doing what she thinks is best for her daughter, and then she goes to Brennan and she's just tantruming. And I love how Brennan is just able to kind of ignore her. Like she goes in and he answers the phone. She's like, don't answer that. And he takes it out. He's like, this is what grown up work looks like. Okay. Like I
Exactly.
keep
No,
my
but
eye on the
truly.
prize. And then she's like, how could you deprive this girl of privilege, the privilege of saving her mom? I'm like, putting her, like
Seriously.
being the reason, like putting this girl like into another surgery in less than a year. I mean, like
Right?
the privilege. I mean, look, if she ends up being a match, she ends up being a match. But the privilege, like, what is the matter with you? Charlotte's still a kid.
I can't even understand where her head's at, truly. Well, I do. I just don't want to.
Ew. Ew, but it's gross. And she's always
It's so
yelling, and he's
gross.
like, okay, leave. She's like, just tell me, where's Valentine? She's like, I don't know. Like, bye. Like, go away. I
Right?
told you. No, it was really, really sad. It was really,
Yeah,
really
it was a
sad.
lot.
But when Laura got the info, I'm thinking, okay, like Jason could be sent on one of these missions. And I wonder, like would this, after the offer Brennan made, could a Jason go to something like this? But technically the last time we tried to go save somebody, he wound up dead, fake dead for a few years.
Exactly.
So we wanted to stay
Exactly.
put. But Laura's like, yeah, I'll go. The
With
country's
Kevin,
dangerous and in conflict. Yeah.
I loved Tracy's explanation of what was going on. She's like, "Oh yeah, send the mayor,
Yeah.
send the mayor. The mayor is gonna get through." Anyways, I can't remember what she said at this point in time, but it was
Well, her
freaking
and
awesome.
her psychiatrist husband, but at the
Oh
end of
yeah,
the day though, I do see them succeeding. Like Laura
I
knows what
do
she's doing and so does Kevin.
too.
It's really not their first rodeo. And so I think it's going to be hilarious when Lucky is there and it's like his mom who shows up to save him.
Like, Mom, so embarrassing.
Oh, what do you want? I don't know. And so it was really sad, right? So Nicholas is not, he's a match but can't donate. So that's pretty heartbreaking. And also good detail, right? We need a donor. Nicholas is a match because he donated when she was a baby. So I think that's pretty cool. That's how the Nicholas character came onto the show.
Oh, I love that. But he did such a good job. Like when he had that two small scenes or two or three small scenes, and the level of emotion he mustered up in those moments, I was like, "Hot damn, you're awesome."
Yeah, because he also could have gotten like to go to Port Charles, like to leave
I
prison for a little
know.
while. But no, it was heartbreaking. And then Johnny wouldn't stop pestering me. What about the other brother? And I'm like, Lucky, they're getting lucky. He's like, she has another brother. And I'm like, it's not Nathan, but it sounds like a Ethan. Then I realize it's Ethan.
Oh, Ethan, yeah.
And I'm like, you're
He's still
right.
on that plane. He's still on that
Yeah,
plane
he
somewhere. He
didn't
never
deplane.
deplaned.
He didn't deplane.
Yeah,
So technically there was another brother that could have been found.
yeah,
Yep.
totally.
So I mean, someone's gonna find Lucky.
Yeah, someone
That's
will.
it. That's what we think. Someone's gonna find Lucky. That's what's gonna happen. And Anna will still be looking for Valentine. And yeah,
Or telling, or her typical tactic. Tell me, please,
I think she'll,
find him for me.
for sure. I think she'll be like, tell me for like a long time.
Yeah.
Um, so Anna bananas for a while. What
Yeah.
I thought was super funny was Rick goes from Alexis to the hospital. I wish I could have been there to see them film those scenes because we talked about how with Lulu and Dante, they brought up all the old storylines. They brought up the fact that he abandoned his wife once, then abandoned her again, and slept with her cousin. And Lulu's teen pregnancy. Like they brought up
Yep.
everything,
Everything. Uh-huh.
everything, and how Brooklyn was paid to break them up.
Yeah.
Um, and then they brought up some other fun memories. So Rick walks in, you know, he's not happy with the
No.
attitude that Carly gives him. He's like, I'm in town for an infant's funeral. Carly, is the attitude necessary? And then her incredible line, was chaining me to a wall necessary? I was like,
Okay,
oh,
no, but she's so on point. Like her and Elizabeth one, just like confirming to us their friendship and love for each other and how far they've come. And then that moment when they zoom in, the picture that you took, when they zoom in on Elizabeth and Carly's head just bends down and is on her shoulder.
it
Oh,
was
the physicality of all of it too.
It
Amazing.
was incredible because I think Elizabeth was asking something like, "Why are you here?" kind of a thing, like and
Hmm.
then, obviously he's here for a global reason for Molly and the funeral, and then Carly bends down. I think she means, "Why are you here?" Like, "Why are you here in the hospital
Yeah.
here?" Why? Oh
So
my
amazing.
gosh.
So
They're like,
amazing.
how could they not have busted out laughing in that scene? Like, that's incredible. The stuff that they're referencing because they're all a part of that storyline, and
Right?
like when they were even reminiscing about like Joss being sick and the whole, because that's like, I mean, that's rough. I don't know if you remember those
Yeah.
scenes
I
with Jake.
don't.
So Jake had died, and originally we thought it was Jake was the donor
Okay.
until we found out it was Nell and that Jax paid someone off. So I'm like,
Yes.
Jax, you were there at the time. Don't you think it's weird that everyone thought she got Jake's, like, I forget, I think it was bone marrow or liver or kidney or something. Don't you think it's weird that for years you knew Nell was the donor and you let everyone think it was Jake? Like that never
Yes.
made any sense. That really
No,
never made
same.
any sense. But basically what happened was Joss was sick and getting sicker. Jake had died, and Carly, I don't know if it was Carly who asked her or if it was Lucky who asked, or who it was that went to Elizabeth to ask for Jake's kidney. I think it was kidney. And then she slapped them. It
Okay.
was really intense and bad. Like, I mean, she was in this really horrible moment. Obviously, she would never punish Josh. She says yes in the end, but it was
Yeah.
just terrible, a terrible, terrible moment. Even Carly, nobody knew who ran Jake over. It turned out it was Luke, but Carly thought it was her for a minute.
Yes.
So yeah, that was a pretty rough storyline, and I couldn't help feel like the sister bonding friend vibe, the kind that we would see with Sam and Carly, and I thought it was interesting that we were seeing that dynamic and history in Elizabeth because it felt a little Sam Carly to me.
Yes.
Because even though they had like a cordial relationship, it was Sam and Carly who came further. And yes, Elizabeth and her have definitely had their moments, but it's been highlighted a lot lately. But I guess, if Sam isn't around, that bond,
Yes.
because they said bad things bond us.
Yeah. Oh,
And
yes.
even with her parents' storyline, like with Elizabeth's backstory and the whole thing with her parents, it was like Carly was there, right? She had saved a picture for her, and it was crazy to know that her parents had missed so much of her life, and this person that, they supposedly hate each other, how much of those moments Carly actually shared with her and how much
Oh,
of life they actually shared together versus like her and her parents.
well, it's like you're saying all this stuff, and I'm just picturing them rallying together to help with Sam's kids and to help Jason get
Yeah.
kind of stabilized. And they are a
Whoa.
community, right? They are
Aw.
a family unit through different ways and means, but they're going to support each other through like such a time. Like I could just see Elizabeth being this really great parental figure. Carly has always been kind of teaching Jason the ropes, helping each other out. Like I can just see that dynamic.
Like parental wise, I do feel Elizabeth and Carly are more similar. Like even
Yes.
in the way that they relate to Jason and parent, like they have more,
Yes.
you see a lot more of this like mutual, like they have like a pretty solid relationship with their kids.
Yes.
Um, and I think that if Sam does die, I could see how her death, like all the things you just said, but another layer, like
Hmm.
just shining a light on how valuable their relationship is, regardless of the bumpy history, and how important it is to really like their relationship is that you may not even know is an important relationship. Like, think about when Bobby died and Elizabeth was there for that moment, you
Yes, it
know,
made the
when,
sign.
and even when like they were both widowed and they saw each other at the cemetery.
Yes.
Like, there's just so much. There's just so much. And I think like, Elizabeth has been on the show way longer, and the history with Carly started long, like was longer. Like that whole concept of like Carly hating a woman who's connected to Jason, it originated with Elizabeth, and then it was just copied over the years with other like
Oh.
people who stepped
Hmm.
into Jason's life. But the original person who kind of stepped in between Carly and Jason was Elizabeth.
Okay.
So it's like they really have had quite the history. So I don't know. I don't know. It would be a really big deal if like they would take their relationship a step further or just have it more solidified, I guess, if you will.
Yeah, it's
Because they're
huge.
still tentative in that scene, like, that we're like, get along, friends even. Like they're still tentative around that, but they're probably more.
Yes.
Going from like super, super sad. Let's go back to Rick. So why work was at that hospital. So he goes and confirms because when Scott had originally asked Alexis to help with the Heather case at such an inappropriate time, and she said no,
Yes.
part of me wondered, is Rick going to be involved? Just
Really?
just because he was coming back to town.
Okay.
And so then when he showed up, I was like, damn, it really, Rick is going to actually substitute, not necessarily work with Scott unless Scott shows back up. But I was also having other thoughts since Rick came to town because we see the way that they're picturing Curtis and Jordan a lot just because they're both focused on TJ right now. But we know that the only thing on Portia's mind often is Heather.
Yes.
And I kind of wondered about like, I wonder if like there'd be an affair with like Rick because that would be like really messy in their family.
So messy.
But then I was like, I don't know about that because it's like now Rick is on the opposite side and we all know how Portia feels about Heather.
We sure
But I
do.
don't know. I don't know. I don't know if that could be possible, but that's obviously going to be a huge mess that like Molly's dad is defending Heather and he has no idea what he's walked into, or maybe he does. Most likely with Rick he does. And I love how she's like, I googled him and he's won cases.
That was so funny. Like he
Oh
might
my gosh.
actually be kind of good at his job. We're not totally sure.
Oh my gosh, but it's out, right? It's out. Heather kind of has let people know that she's going to pursue this avenue. So things are going to get really messy. I mean, come on. Rick shows up in the middle of this like Christina Molly thing and now takes on like the most controversial case. Like both of these situations are pretty much the most controversial situations going on right now.
Totally.
And he's going to be in the throes of it all. Speaking of throes of it all,
Oh, I love it.
oh
Yes.
my gosh. First of all, Drew, what are you doing?
What are you
You
doing?
called out Willow specifically in that speech. What are you doing?
He does not know how to have an affair.
Do you know what I wrote? Disgusted but intrigued. Because it's like, you know how much I want this to happen, but every
I
time I look at
know.
it, I'm like,
So
oh, and I'm like, I can't
good.
believe this is going on. And then I know this is wrong. I know this is wrong. But
Yeah.
when Willow and Drew were at the place still, right? And he just found out that McConkey died.
Yeah.
And then she said this, I could see how hard this is hitting you. And I was just like, I don't know what's telling her. And then she went back to his office, doesn't tell anybody where he's
Nobody.
going. She's like, no, I'm gonna stay with you. Because family first, and you're my family. You're related to my husband family. And yeah, so she went there and then they slowly started to mention not as like they didn't hammer it. Like there's sometimes things that they hammer. Like Christina's wife,
Everything
wife,
just feels
wife.
wrong right now.
And then suddenly they're like, it's probably gonna rain tonight. I'm like, okay. And
That
then
was
Christina
hilarious.
grabs an umbrella. But I know this is weird, but it's
Yeah.
one of those things I get excited about because it's
I
nice that
know
they
you
have these
do.
like, and I'm not getting excited about the weather, people. I'm just getting excited when there's like a common thing, right? Like a
Yes, a
rainstorm
thread.
because it affects everybody, or like the Metro Court hostage situation, like something that kind of touches on everything. So now there's a rainstorm, and I'm like, what does it mean? I know I'm scared. I know that.
I know you were too.
And like right now, there's Ava's on the road, but a crash could save her
Yes,
life. And also that other woman, you stay alive so you both could testify against Kate. Well, actually, that's
please. Oh, that's
irrelevant.
that. Yeah, yeah.
Irrelevant.
Okay, but the
So
boathouse. We'll get to that.
okay. And then Guy, who Johnny's like, he sees the guy and he's like, oh my God, they were in Port Charles the whole time. And I'm like, no. Like, they all just weren't in a warehouse. They were literally in another country, like in another continent, even. And the guy just got a really fast direct flight. And so right off
Totally.
the airport. So they says you've landed in Port Charles, but somehow he's out on Route
I could
41,
not. I could not when he popped out
direction of
behind that rock.
the Pine Barrens. And I'm thinking to myself, if you're gonna crash or hit someone, I mean, he's a doctor. This could be good for everybody.
That's true. That's true.
And he's a doctor who has a special skill set. Maybe. I don't know, because he couldn't really escape on his own, but I'm assuming.
But maybe he's good at doctoring, just not at like being a bad person.
So imagine a doctor comes into Port Charles. I wonder will it end up working? Hmm. Maybe we'll
Grey's
get back to
Anatomy?
that
Is
one
that
next
just
week. Yeah, the
that's
set is next
Seattle? Just
door. It's funny because when I saw his picture online, they're like new character in like cast like in Port Charles, and Johnny's like, "Who do you think he's going to be?" I'm like, "I don't know, probably a doctor," and he is.
that's it's funny. Like it's totally funny.
So okay, so now we have Ava. She's on the road, and you're like, "Okay, you're on the road. You're gonna crash. Fine." But then Christina's driving, but she managed to drive to her dad's, and then she
Yes.
knew a code,
Who gave
and then
her the
she
code?
grabbed her
Who gave
dad.
her the code?
I guess, but that's the thing though. Like, how many times has Sunny taken out the gun in front of her? Probably never. Either way,
Exactly.
she
So
knows the
how does she
code.
know the code? Was it a
I ca-
birthday? Sorry.
I didn't check the numbers, nor do I know her birthday. But now she has a gun. She has a gun.
hmm
And Sonny went to go talk to Dante Hartfeld, and then he was like, "Hey, Lois, could you like take care of my favorite people? One's my son. I think it's Michael. There's an Amelia, a Willow, a Wiley, some crap like that." And I was like, "Is he not going to talk to Michael?" And then
Yeah.
Michael is just spending all of his scenes on Friday being like, "I don't know where my wife is." And I'm like,
It's
okay.
so funny.
And then, he has his heart to heart with Sonny, so he does get talking. I'm like, really went all the way to the Quartermains, and then you talk to the one son that doesn't live there. So I'm glad that they spoke. And then Carly's still roaming around. He doesn't tell her anything at all.
hmm
And then Kate is like, I'm gonna come and arrest you at the Quartermains. And then he's
At the
like, at the
boathouse.
boathouse. And I was like, that because at first when like because Sonny eventually came out because I'm thinking, why? Like, why would you go to the
Yes.
boathouse? And so he knocks on the door and Sonny walks out. And the thing is, when he walked out, the first thing I saw,
Yeah.
the black gloves. I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
What you gonna do? And then I loved it. He's like, I can't wait. I'm gonna perp walk you out of here and everyone's gonna
So
know who you
funny.
are. And then Sonny's like, no, I think you're gonna finally get to know who I am, see the real me. Here I am. And I'm like, you are shooting him 2 times.
Too.
Not at your house, at a boathouse. I mean, you're lucky it's
At the
raining, 1.
Quartermains.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, James could have easily been swimming in that water. No, I'm kidding.
But truly, okay, wait, wait. Okay, so do we think Christina's gonna come and help him move the body? Do we think Christina's gonna end up shooting this mysterious woman who's bringing Ava to the Pine Barrens? Christina's gonna get involved in something dirty. I just don't know which one.
It's a lot of things to be involved in such a short span of time.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't even know what to think. I don't know where she's gonna end up because I don't know geography in Port Charles. Is the Pine Barrens close
It's
to the
well,
Quartermain?
apparently the airport leads out to the rocks
Yeah.
in the direction of the Pine Barrens.
Yeah. And does she know that oh yeah, she did hear that he was going to the Quartermain. So I think a gun, yeah, it's a good idea to bring a gun there where all the children are, because even Ace is gonna live
Oh,
there
yeah.
now.
Oh my gosh, Ace with Tracy, I cannot wait.
Hilarious. She's like, "Oh, what? Should he be with family?" And then how quickly she calculated that the Ace was related to Elizabeth somehow and her family. That was so amazing. And the
So
the
cute.
comment from Kevin, I loved it. But like, yeah, he shot Kate's.
Like totally shot him in the
Like,
chest.
how do you cover that up? Like, is Michael gonna see him with his umbrella? Is that how they're gonna bond again?
Oh
Right?
man. And how do kids not wear a bulletproof vest? Just saying.
At first, I was like, maybe he's wearing a bulletproof vest, and then he started bleeding. Either way, I don't think. And then he's like, then he said something like, "What do you think it come with backup?" Like fear. He's like,
Right?
"No, because you want the pleasure of bringing me in." And I'm like,
Totally.
what's up saying? He's like, "But you're gonna shoot me an FBI agent?" It's like, yeah, because he won't stop talking about his badge. And that's one of his like favorite lines from Christina. He says, like, "All I need is my badge." And then Christina says, "Nobody is surprised you think that your badge is enough."
Yeah, she was awesome. Oh my gosh. Okay, we talked about all the things. We discussed all the stuff.
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw my first star to Christina because that moment, like when she went from, oh my gosh, what the heck is happening to I'm gonna get you murdered and I might do it myself was fantastic.
It was. And I want to say another line related to Kate's. I
Hmm.
I think it's from Alexis though. She's like, "Not just out of your jurisdiction, you're out of your mind."
That is great. That's awesome.
That is so good. Yeah, definitely gold stars to Christina, gold stars to the Sunny Kate scene, to Lucky, to Laura.
Yes. To
Uh,
Jason, potentially
like,
being a future star of WSB star stuff.
so where is he in all of this though?
He's at the coffee house.
Oh my gosh. And like Portia and Curtis,
Doing inventory. Sorry, it's Portia Curtis. Yes.
they were all like, "Oh my gosh, you don't have to go back to work yet. You don't have to go back to work yet
Let's go on
either.
a bench,
Let's sit
guys.
on
Let's have
a
a date on
bench."
a
And
bench. What?
I'm like, yeah, no one's gonna cheat on anybody in this scenario. Like, and so there was one thing about Portia that I loved when she walked in on Heather, and then she's
Yeah.
like, "You know what they say about plans? You make plans and God laughs, and so do I." And there's a part of me that's like, I don't know why, but I can see Portia making time to laugh at people's plans that fall through. I can see her doing that.
It's like her pastime.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so yeah, so Drew and Willow gonna go all the way. I love watching like gold star to Nina and Sasha
Sasha.
pretending they
Oh, they
don't
were.
know what they know about
And
where Willow is. The florals, go for it.
yes, the florals.
What do you
I
want to
know
say about
we're
it?
two people, but we're like one.
So what do you think it means? What do you want to say about the florals?
I just love that they're dressed similarly. We talk about outfits a lot and what it means for
Yeah,
the future of people. And we've talked about how, we still desperately want them to somehow be connected through DNA. But at the same token, we know that chosen family
but they
as
don't
just
need
as
to be,
important, right? And I
right?
just love that exactly that. Like right now, they both know what's going on. They both make their cute little faces. Ha. Do you know they're looking for signals of each other and just they're kind of in both the weirdest positions and they both love Willow and they don't want her to do anything like
Exactly,
this.
right? Exactly, because Sasha uniquely cares for, like, Willow and for Nina. Nina
Yes.
very much for Willow, but yeah, I think it just shows that they're on the same page, and you're right, in terms of
Yes.
chosen family, I mean, I would say that Willow and Nina are definitely choosing each other, but they have a special bond, and I don't think DNA needs to be involved. They definitely have the mother-daughter relationship. Like, look at Elizabeth, look at the family she's created. Like, Laura's
Yeah.
literally her mom, Scott's her dad. It just is what it is. So no, I love their relationship and how soft things have become. Like, look how soft Michael's exchanges with Nina were.
Yeah, like they're working together as a team, even though Nina knows damn well where she is. And he's like, if you hear from her, please tell her to call me.
I know. I know. It's bad.
I
It's
love that
bad.
he kind of messed up an expression because I felt very represented in that moment
What did
where
he
he's
do?
like, Willow, when you get this message, give me a yell. Isn't it? When you get this message, give me a
Give me a
shout.
shout. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. That is okay, that cannot be what he was meant to say. Um, Shocking things that came from Dante were just things like, "I wish I stayed with Lulu when I had the chance." Again, out of left field.
Totally.
Um,
Totally.
and then I was, like, throwing shade. I'm like, "Wasn't Anna the one who brought you the WSB case?" And I told like, because he was explaining that he took on
Hmm.
that case because someone was after Lulu, but I completely forgot that whole storyline. Like, I remembered it. I remember that being the reason, and I remember the reference, but I don't remember the time when
This is
someone was
great.
trying to kill her.
Me too, though. That's why I'm loving this
Here,
because I'm like, I get
here,
you totally.
let me sing this. I don't remember the time. Sorry.
That's gonna be the theme for this this post.
Oh, it's for sure. What else about Dante that I want to say? It's not that I want to give a gold star to this, but I mean, look, I'll give a gold star for the intensity, but I can't say I like them going at each other. I was just surprised. I thought Dante and Tracy were gonna have a soft moment, but then they
Me
really lashed
too.
out at each other. And I was just shocked. Her blaming Dante for things, and Dante's like, "Well, it's a good thing I don't really care about what you think." But I was like, "Why are you doing this to him? Like, I don't get it." And him calling her out, being like, "Did you really do everything you could for her?" So, and then when he was like talking about Luke on his deathbed, like I just couldn't believe that scene.
Yes, it was incredibly unexpected, and I don't
Out
know
of
what
left
to take.
field.
Totally out of left field, not right, absolutely just left. And Tracy hasn't lashed out in a really long time, and she's expanding her circle. And I really just think like Dante was in front of her, so he got unleashed on. And Dante has pent a banger because he's always so calm and logical and sees things in such a very specific way that I truly, honestly just think it was them just getting it out there. It was like being each other's
Yeah.
punching bag and they're going to move on. Because at the end of the day, they truly know that both of them love Lulu like no other.
Well, they are pulling together her, how do you say, like her people that would be part of her
Yes.
storyline, right? They're pulling
Yes.
together all of that right now. Making
Exactly.
people go like, we remember her. We'll remember her when she wakes up. We'll talk to her.
Exactly. Exactly. All that good stuff.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that part was long with the stars and the lines. But, folks, that's a wrap. Have a fantastic weekend. Bye.
Hi.